And welcome back to a new week of Cyrus's Music Podcast. So, for this week, there's something very special happening on Friday. Today is Monday, May 9th, which means on Friday, May 13th, there will be a new Kendrick Lamar album coming out, which, as someone who's a very large Kendrick fan, very, very excited for. So that means this week is going to be completely dedicated to Kendrick Lamar and his music. And so this week is going to run a little bit differently. There will be no Monday playlist, and instead, it's going to be it'll run like a Friday. So it'll be my top 10 favorite Kendrick Lamar songs, not really in any order. And then Wednesday will be my favorite album. And instead of a Friday favorite song, which is happening on Monday, Friday, I'll be reviewing the new album, which I am very, very excited for. So, without further ado, this is my top 10 favorite songs by Kendrick Lamar on a Monday. So, the first one is Wesley's Theory, which comes off the To Pimp a Butterfly album. So, this one, actually, the first couple times I listened to it, I didn't like it that much. It was kind of off. Like it was kind of weird. But then as I gave it a couple more listens, it's one of my favorites of his, probably of all time. There's something about like the intro that's like dark almost. Like the whole song had kind of feels dark, but it's really, really good. And the flow, just like any other Kendrick song, incredible. So, moving on this is probably I haven't checked the numbers in a while, but I think this is one of his most popular, which is All of the Stars. So this one is actually off the Black Panther soundtrack, which he did in 2018, and has a feature or is done with SZA. So this is probably one that kind of everyone knows, or at least knows how it goes, and so not really a deep cut at all, or that original, but something about it is just really catchy and just really gets you going. And it's definitely one of those songs that I, as a guilty pleasure that I'll admit to on this podcast, it's the kind of song where you kind of like turn the lights off and you just kind of sing to, like on your own. So definitely a top 10 favorite of mine. And then a number three is Duckworth, which comes off Damn. Now, Duckworth is, hmm, I would say lyrically a top five song of all time. The storytelling is nothing short of masterful in this song. If you've never listened to Duckworth, I would definitely recommend listening through it the first time with like looking at the lyrics, and then especially if you're not used to rap music and aren't and your ear isn't adjusted to keeping up with the faster pace of talking. But as you keep listening to it, turning off the subtitles and just soaking in what he has to say is really an experience. He tells the story of, let's see if I can remember it now, his parents moving to, I'm pretty sure it was Compton, and his father having a run-in with his to-be manager. And at the time, they didn't know it, and I believe his manager's rap name, for lack of a better word, was Top Dog. And so Top Dog was kind of running the streets in Compton for a while. And Kendrick's father worked at a KFC. And so uh, Kendrick's to-be manager went in to rob the KFC where his dad worked knowing who, without knowing who his dad was, pretty much. But Kendrick's dad got on Top Dog's soft side and was able to get out of the situation without the KFC being robbed and unharmed. And the end of the song is really powerful, where Kendrick kind of grapples with how if that incident had gone, which he calls the chicken incident, if that had gone differently, uh, there's a very real possibility that Kendrick could have grown up without a father, and led him down a very, very different life of what he was what was chosen. So there could be no Kendrick Lamar the rapper had that incident 20-ish years ago gone differently. So that's enough about that song, but very, very good. Anyone listening to this podcast, I 100% recommend giving it a listen through. And moving on is All Right. Also off to Pimp a Butterfly. So I think All Right was probably the most popular off this album, and for good reason. It is just a really, really good song all around. It flows beautifully, it's bouncy, and definitely makes a top 10. And moving on, I think this is going to be song 5 is Mad City off Good Kid Mad City. So a little sneak peek for later in the week. Good Kid Mad City is going to be the album I'm reviewing on Wednesday and is my personal favorite of all the Kendrick Lamar albums to date. I don't know. We'll see if this new one can top it. But Mad City is really just a good song, a very good, solid song that works beautifully with the album. And I will probably talk more in depth about this song on Wednesday when I go over it some more. And moving on is no Kendrick Lamar list would be complete without Humble, also off of Damn. So Humble was the largest song. I can say that with confidence off of Damn. And actually, I have the number pulled up here. On Spotify alone, it has about 1.6 billion streams. So very, very well known. I'm sure everyone and their mom has at least heard the intro and can probably rap along the chorus, which is just pretty much sit down, be humble. But yeah, no Kendrick Lamar list top 10 would be complete without Humble. It's a fantastic song and one that doesn't take too much effort to learn the lyrics to. So there are videos of Kendrick Lamar on the Damn tour in concert where he would start off a verse and pretty much the entire like stadium he filled out would rap his song like and would do it pretty much perfectly. Very, very cool experience. And if you haven't seen the YouTube videos of that, definitely look up like Kendrick fans rapping or something like that. And moving on, going back to Good Kid Mad City is Money Trees. So Money Trees is one of the slower songs off that album, but definitely a personal favorite of mine. It comes right around the middle of the album and right around Poetic Justice, which did not make this list, but is a really good song with a Drake feature on it. So if you don't know it, Money Trees featuring J Rock, definitely give it a listen. And also off Good Kid Mad City is Backseat Freestyle. For this one, it has one of my favorite beats, probably top 10 of all time personally. And the way so obviously I enjoyed the beat, but for those of you that aren't aware, Genius does works a lot with several rappers and producers on how they make their music and how beats are created. And I remember watching the episode of how Backseat Freestyle was created and just thinking, wow, like this beat is borderline genius. And yeah, so moving on. This is the oldest Kendrick Lamar song on this list is High Power from his album Section 80, which came out in 2011, I believe, before even before Good Kid Mad City. So High Power, I would say, is the perfect album ending song. It's just like calm enough to like it's not bringing the mood up, which is something that you definitely want for the end of an album, but it also it isn't so slow that it would put your listeners to sleep, which I definitely appreciate. and I especially appreciate now when most music drops Thursday at midnight, and so listening to very slow songs at 1:30, 2 in the morning, depending on the size of the album, is not the best way to keep your listeners going. So high power, perfect ending of an album. And for the last of the top 10, in still no particular order, is King Kunta off of, I really hope I'm saying that right, off To Pimp a Butterfly. So this, along with All Right, is one of the more popular songs on the album. And if you thought All Right was kind of flowy and bouncy, then this one is even better. It it is a definitely personal top five Kendrick song for me. And if you don't know it, you should 100% go check it out. So that concludes my top 10 list of Kendrick songs. If you want to go check them out, in no particular order, they are Wesley's Theory, All of the Stars, Duckworth, All Right, Mad City, Humble, Money Trees, Backseat Freestyle, High Power, and King Kunta. Keep listening for the review of Good Kid, Mad City. And here we are again for the Wednesday section of the special Kendrick Lamar week. And for the Wednesday album, it will be my personal favorite, so far at least. We'll see what happens by Friday. But Good Kid, Mad City, my personal favorite. So this one is a little bit of a hot take, honestly. A lot of people really like either Damn or To Pimp a Butterfly more than this. And Good Kid, Mad City usually makes fans top three, but usually not the top one. But I'm gonna be breaking down this one a little bit and telling you what I think. So this is also going to be a little bit different because a lot of songs I'll kind of go through and individually have a rating for or just talk about like my personal favorites. But Good Kid, Mad City is a story, and you can break down a story into your favorite chapters, but it really doesn't give you the whole picture. So I'm gonna start off with Shireen, which is the first song on this album, and is all about Kendrick getting in the car and going to hook up with this girl across town. And in this song, he at the very end, a lot of these songs have voicemails on his phone left by his mom and usually his dad in the background somewhere. And if I remember correctly, in the background of this, the mom mentions that Kendrick took the family van to go see this girl, and she needs the van back. And in the background, you can hear Kendrick's dad complaining about how Kendrick needs to bring back his dominoes, which his dad is very upset that they're missing. And one of my favorite parts about this album, which I don't think any of his others do as well as this one, is the way his songs flow together. So from the very end of Shireen, his Kendrick's dad is talking to his mom on the voicemail, and he says something along the lines of, I don't remember exactly now, but pretty much, dad says to mom, "No one wants to listen to you. You're killing my vibe." And then from that, it immediately starts in the song, "Bitch, don't kill my vibe," which is a definitely personal favorite of mine. And recording this now, I realized I left it out of my top 10, which I recorded on Monday. But if I could go back and change that, I would definitely put "Bitch, Don't Kill My Vibe" on a top 10. This song is fantastic. The beat feels like you're just floating along in the clouds. It's completely fantastic. And from the end of this song, it goes to a so a little bit more background for this album is it details pretty much a day in the life of young Kendrick Lamar, and he is going around, I'm pretty sure Compton, with friends of his doing things he maybe or maybe not should be doing. And so at the very end of Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, If I remember correctly, his friends say, "Get in the car, got a pack of blacks and a beat city, get your freestyles ready." And as soon as he finishes saying that, you hear the very iconic beat of Backseat Freestyle starting up, which is just, I talked about it on my top 10, and I'll talk about it a little more now, is an incredible beat. Definitely recommend checking out the Genius video of how it was created. And then from Backseat Freestyle of Kendrick, presumably in the backseat, flowing with his friends, it goes into The Art of Peer Pressure, which, if I remember correctly, is pretty much detailing Kendrick and his friends breaking into a house and robbing it of a lot of its stuff and valuable things, which Kendrick usually doesn't do, as hinted in the chorus of the song, and is what gives the song its title, The Art of Peer Pressure. And then from The Art of Peer Pressure springs Money Trees, featuring J Rock, which is probably the most popular on this song or on this album, and just a very good song. I'm pretty sure it made the top 10 I recorded on Monday, and just very good overall. And from Money Trees, it goes into Poetic Justice with a Drake song, which I'm not sure if it means to directly reference Tupac, but definitely pick that up from a song titled Poetic Justice. And then from Poetic Justice, it goes into Mad City, which I'm pretty sure did make my top 10 as well. Just very good song overall. No, sorry. I am remembering wrong. It goes from Poetic Justice to Good Kid and then to Mad City, which, yes, Good Kid, then Mad City, which is also how the title goes, Good Kid, Mad City. And then from Mad City, it goes to Swimming Pools, which I remember being really popular when it came out, with people a little bit older than I was, since when 2013 was when this album came out? No, 2012. I would have been 6 or 7. So with people a little older than I was, Swimming Pools was pretty popular, and if you listen through, you can see why. And then the next song number 10 on this playlist, or not on this playlist, on this album, is Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. This is the longest song on the playlist, not the playlist, the album. Longest song on the album is about 12 minutes long and is pretty much like a couple songs put together, and really tells the story of what's happening. And then after that is Real, and the final song is Compton by Dr. Dre, or by Kendrick Lamar featuring Dr. Dre. And these two songs are a very good wrap up of pretty much a day in Kendrick's life in Compton, like doing things that he might not always want to be doing, and surviving how he can. So that is, and I'm pretty sure there are no other songs besides. Actually, I guess the deluxe brought in The Recipe, Black Boy Fly, Now or Never, The Recipe with a Black Hippie remix, and a Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix with Jay-Z on it. But honestly, I prefer the original album to the deluxe, and so that's what I'll be reviewing today. So overall, I would give this album an 8.5 out of 10. Uh, the only reason it's not higher is because the songs in the latter half are just honestly less memorable than the ones in the first half. But the story, very good. I think it does a fantastic job kind of going through a day and explaining what's happening, all in lyrics, and both using a couple different elements of like blending the beginnings and ends of songs, and through the use of voicemails left by Kendrick Lamar's parents. So that will wrap up the Wednesday album section of my music podcast. Stay tuned for Friday when the new album comes, which I am very, very excited for. And here it is, Earl and the Big Steppers album review. It has finally come out after 5 years of waiting. Yeah, 5 years of waiting. Mr. Moore on the Big Steppers is released, and wow, very, very good album. So I'm gonna, for those of you that haven't listened to it already, since it's only been out a day or so, definitely recommend giving it a listen through. It's a very, very interesting step in Kendrick's discography so far. It's an 18-hour 13 not playlist, album, which is a two-sided playlist. It is separated into two discs. One is Mr. Moral, and the other is the Big Steppers. Mr. Moral is nine. Yep, both of them are 9 songs long. I'm looking at the list right now. So let's see. Definitely, definitely recommend. Some personal favorites of mine were, let's see, let's say United in Grief, N95, Die Hard. Let's see, what else? Father Time was pretty good. Silent Hill, Savior, uh, Mr. Moral. So I'd say those are probably my favorites coming off this album. It was it was very interesting. It was also slightly disappointing that like on To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn, there were the humbles and there were the all rights. And this album didn't really feel like it had one song that is really gonna blow up for better or for worse. Like it had good songs, but nothing that was like I'll play this for all my friends and turn it up really loud kind of thing. But still some very good songs. I think overall my favorite was N95, which is the second song on the album. So definitely recommend checking it out. I think that I also regard this album so highly because I stayed up till midnight for the drop of this one, and hearing like those first verses, like the first new Kendrick Lamar verses after 5 years was quite an experience. So like yeah, in the opening of United in Grief, which is the very first song of the album, like hearing him switch from the slower, more melodic opening to the like faster, hard-hitting drums and that beat switch, like I was losing it a little bit at that part. But it wasn't all fast. There were some definitely some slower ones on there, such as Crown, that I think is overhated, or that people are very divided on. Some people are like, this song is like not good at all. Some people think it's mid. Another thing, there are people that believe that Crown is like the best song on the album, which I don't know if I would agree with personally. Like I listened to it when the album came out, but I haven't revisited. So yeah, I don't know. And there are some other ones like Mother I Sober, which is the second to last. And like it's a good song, and I'm sure it was very important for Kendrick Lamar to make as like a personal like cleansing of the issue. But as far as a casual listener is concerned, it is not a song that I'll be returning to and listening back on. But one of the more serious songs that I will be coming back to, and that I have come back to, is Auntie Diaries, which I think is done very, very well. But as a trigger warning, could offend people. So for those of you that haven't listened to the album yet, Auntie Diaries is a story about Kendrick's uncle, or what who used to be his uncle, being trans and becoming his aunt, and how a young Kendrick Lamar dealt with that and dealt with his friends in a time when being trans was a lot less accepting, or was a lot less accepted. And so, I don't know, listening through like how he describes like how being trans used to be something that he and his friends would make fun of, that they didn't really have any understanding of, and then someone in his family being trans, and then it's suddenly a lot less funny. And he also, in the latter half of the song, talks about how his cousin went through a similar transformation in their life, and how it was a lot easier for Kendrick as an adult or as an older person to come to terms with it, just because he had the experience. And he has a very, very interesting ending of the song, which I have forgotten now and will listen to again. So after a very quick break, I'll be right back. Okay, so and listen through the ending of the song again. It reminded me of a second part that I really enjoyed. Is so it goes from the chorus of the beginning of the song, or the hook, as you will, the part that's repeated, is uh, my auntie is a man now, and then with the cousin, with their hook is Demetrius is Marianne now, and then both of those are put together near the end, and Kendrick is presented with a new issue of his family being and him being religious, and how grappling with being trans versus the church, and how that issue kind of played out in his life. And at the very end of the song, he talks about a time where he brought a white fan on stage at a past show to like do a song with him, and she ended up saying the N-word on stage. And he makes the comparison that we can say the F slur for gay and trans people if we can let white girls say the N-word, which personally he doesn't say F slur and N-word that I do. So some people could get offended by his use of the word there, but personally I thought it pushed forward the point he was trying to bring across, and thought he did it in a very, very respectful and well done way. So I think those are all of my. Nope, actually, a couple more thoughts for you before I head off. So if you're listening through the album, one song you can skip completely is We Cry Together. That one is just not good. It's pretty much a 5.5 minute argument between Kendrick and probably a girlfriend, played by Taylor Page, and it's pretty much just about 5.5 minutes of the two of them just yelling at each other. And it is an interesting piece of work, because like you get caught up in the argument and you can kind of forget that like they are making it rhyme and they are making it flow, but just that impressiveness is overshadowed by they are just yelling at each other. So I don't know. That one I wasn't really a fan of, and would honestly recommend. Well, no, if you're listening through the album for the first time, definitely listen to it and come up with your own thoughts, but not one that I personally go back to. So overall, I would give Mr. Moral and the Big Steppers a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's the kind of album that will age well, and I think part of the reason its rating is only a 7.5 is my expectations were very high for this album, and I think personally unreasonably high. Like, I think a little part of me was hoping for a new favorite album, like of all time, and if you're setting your standards that high, you're gonna be set up for failure. But I think as people give this album time, and as I give this album time, it will definitely work its way up in people's liked songs and in people's playlists. So yeah, Mr. Moral and the Big Steppers, 7.5 out of 10. And that wraps up this week, the special Kendrick Lamar week. Tune in next week. There will not be any special trends. I think this is going to be the last one that I do, just because of such a large drop coming out. But thank you for tuning in this week. Come back soon.